Hey everyone, how's it going today? And welcome back to another second stimulus check and second stimulus package update. So in today's update, I want to focus talking specifically about the $400 unemployment boost, $400 unemployment boost benefits extension, specifically about if this is still going to be a thing that's going to be happening, when it's going to be happening, if it is a thing, is it possible for it to potentially happen next week, and also dive a little bit briefly about the other parts of the stimulus package and what's been going on right now between things like the debates, the updates, what's going on with Congress, the House, the regular stimulus check for $1,200. So without further ado, let's get this video started. Oh, but real quick, before we begin, make sure you smash the like button because it really does help out the channel to push it through. Any support's greatly appreciated. Feel free to comment anything down anytime if there are any thoughts going on at all. And also consider subscribing if you are into like stimulus check, stimulus package videos, and also about the stock market or really any kind of financial topic. So just stuff to be aware of what to expect if you do join this community. So if you guys have been following the channel, in the last update, I mentioned how Donald Trump has recently signed the 4 executive orders, and I talked specifically about all of the different parts, so definitely check out that video if you haven't done so already. I'll put it at the end screen at the end of the video and also in the description likely. But the story really currently is that Donald Trump has officially signed the 4 executive orders, and right now, as I mentioned in the last video, is that it's very possible that these executive orders can potentially be challenged, especially because so many of these different like tax laws, they actually have to go through Congress first, so they can potentially be challenged. The news, depending on, I guess, whether good or bad news, depending on like your views on this, but basically it seems basically at this time period that the Democrats will probably not be challenging the executive orders, and very likely the reasoning for it is because I think it's because first off is that they're trying to preserve their image at this time, because they know that if they try to challenge these orders, it's going to potentially make them look not so good. And as we know, most of the American people, they kind of see things as very surface level. Maybe comment down below if you guys think that these executive orders should be challenged or not so much. If they do end up getting challenged, the benefit is that you can potentially receive even more than the $400 unemployment or even something else added to it. The bad news about it is that it's going to potentially delay it even more than it already has. Now, the news is, in terms of when we should expect this, is that according to the situation, if nobody challenges this and it does actually manage to go through with it, I think according to Mnuchin is that it's very possible that these unemployment boost benefits extension can actually potentially start even next week, or certainly even in the next 1 to 2 weeks. If they don't, it's also possible that they're probably going to do some kind of rollback plan where they're going to give you the amount of money that's owed over the last couple of weeks. So basically the last 2 weeks, since unemployment did expire back in July 31st anyway. However, I think as mentioned a lot of times is that there's a lot of caveats to it. There's a couple like kind of like misnomers or things to really point out about this situation. Now, there are some actually, I guess, less good news and a lot of caveats that kind of go on to this and that could potentially delay the situation. And the first one is that, as most of you guys have already mentioned, within that $400, really only $300 is actually guaranteed by the feds. The other $100 is supposed to come from the states. And so why this is actually potentially bad news, and it actually already has been happening, is that there are actually some states that have actually agreed to it. There are some states that have actually been okay with it and said, you know, we'll do it. But there's actually some states that have actually either challenged the situation or actually brought up the case, as I've kind of already predicted in my, to no surprise, in my last update video, that there's many states that are on a very tight budget that don't actually have the ability to afford the extra $100 to cover it. I know that New York is actually one of them, and I'm biased because I'm from New York, but really, I mean, New York's a big state in general, but a lot of states, especially ones that are very like populated, lots of different people, they may not actually be exactly on board with it. So one of the bad news about it is that if they do extend it, it is very possible that you guys may actually end up only getting the $300 instead of the entire $400 like proposed. And this is even more true considering the logistic, the fact that back then it really was just kind of a debate between like the House and the Republicans, the Senate Republicans, but now we are literally in a debate if they pass this kind of unemployment $400 boost, where now it's going to be a debate now between Trump, Congress and the other people, even though they're not, doesn't look like they're going to be fully challenging. And now every single individual 50 states. So this could potentially lead to delays in probably not every state, but certain states. So it is possible that if some states are very, very like happy with it, they could approve it and start rolling. But it's also possible that if some states are not on the same exact board, it could potentially lead to even more delays right now. My other really, really big concern about the situation, and it already seems like it's already starting to happen, is I kind of mentioned in my last update video about how if they decide to actually go through with it, it may actually also start to take out a level of urgency. And as we probably already follow by now, when it comes to the Senate Republicans, regardless of your political views, they didn't even come out with their own HEALS Act proposal until basically the end of July, basically 2 months after the HEROES Act was already proposed back in May and signed by the House. So because of this situation, the biggest fear is, especially because some of them are actually on recess right now, I'm pretty sure, but they're simply just on standby. So they're kind of like on recess, but they're prepared to be able to go back to vote within a 24-hour notice. If they don't actually do anything about this, it's very, very possible that even if they pass the unemployment benefits boost extension for the $300 or $400, depending on how they look at it, it's very, very possible that it's going to potentially delay the next actual regular stimulus package for $1,200, as well as the other aspects of the stimulus package, like for essential workers, hazardous pay, large corporations, PPP, SBA. A lot of that stuff might actually potentially get delayed all the way until even next month. So that is actually one kind of bad news. Now, there is a chance, based on how slow they're moving, that it may end up getting delayed to September, even regardless of whether or not they actually go through with the unemployment. But I think it is something to kind of think about, and maybe comment down your thoughts about this situation, whether or not what you guys think is going to happen, what you guys think should be happening, or anything like that at all. So I think when it comes to like having Donald Trump sign those 4 executive orders, I kind of see it as mixed news. There's good and bad news to it. And I think that the good news about it is that hopefully by having him sign these 4 executive orders, it actually instills some level of urgency to kind of get them to really start taking action and move. And maybe it will speed up the process to kind of get people who are on the unemployment benefits extension to get their extension and have it approved as soon as possible. The bad news about it, though, is my biggest fear, as mentioned, really overall, is that it would be good news if you're on unemployment because you can hopefully get it faster. But the bad news about it is that if you're not on unemployment and you're looking to try to gain money from the other areas, so like the $1,200 or the ones that are supposed to help families or essential workers or hazardous pay, it's going to potentially delay it even more than what it already is. And I think the other thing is, and just real fast, is that it's also been very questionable what his intentions are, because I think that what he did, basically at the end of the day, it does help people, and I think it's a good news there. But at the same time, there is also talk about maybe his intentions. There's a lot of thoughts that maybe he did it not necessarily because he cares about people, although we don't know, it's questionable, but maybe he did it just for political gain, to try to gain voters. And I mean, half of the situation has so far really just been about politics. Maybe smash the like button if you haven't done so already and if we're still on the same page. Because I've always been mentioning in a lot of my videos now that I think at the end of the day, like I've kind of mentioned, is that we really are all kind of in this together, and I think it's that we're on the same ship. So if one side of the country falls, basically almost everyone goes down together, because again, we literally live and are in the same economy, the same stock market, similar job markets, similar housing markets, because again, people have different jobs, so that's why I say similar. But there's so many commonalities that we live by the same laws, so many different things. Now, there is also news that because Kamala Harris recently just been announced as the vice president for Joe Biden, I think some of you guys probably have already known from about a video that I made, I think about 1 to 2 months ago, is that Kamala Harris actually wrote one of the bills that was supposed to give $2,000 to every single American, not every, but most Americans, reoccurringly a month. So maybe, I don't think the odds are going to be high. I don't want to bet it's going to be happening, but maybe if some magic happens now that she's gains a little bit more power into the situation, maybe she can actually push for the actual $2,000 per month to actually happen. But I wouldn't bet on it because it seems a little bit too much. I mean, they're still trying to debate on trying to figure out the logistics for the $1,200, even though everyone's on the same exact page for that. But so far also, I'm pretty sure that they haven't actually had a debate, believe it or not, since last Friday. So it's really insane to think there's been a lot of news since Friday, but most of the news have really just been about what the politicians have said on the news itself. So it hasn't actually been them sitting down to try to negotiate. It's really just been about them being interviewed on like Fox, NBC, and ABC News about the current situation, what they want, what they don't want, and how they want to sort out the logistics. But I really do believe that until they're able to come together and sit down again for another meeting with the president, with everyone all together, that's really when we should hopefully see significant progress. Because I'm pretty sure right now the Democrats are actually trying to still push for having all of the different parts of the stimulus package to kind of be passed at once, while the Republicans are trying to pass it in little stages by stages. I think the key reason though why is because there are some like parts of the stimulus package, for example, like you can even say like some of the tax cuts, certain like rules, essential workers, hazardous pay, that they're very afraid that if they try to pass it in chunks, eventually it'll reduce the level of urgency for the situation, and some of these parts may just get taken out completely. So they'd rather just have everything set in stone, passed as once. So maybe also, yeah, comment down below maybe if you guys have any ideas of this, if you guys think that they should just try to pass everything at once in one swoop, or if they should just try to pass it part by part. But as always, of course, at this point we can really once again only hope for the best. But yes, it is possible for the unemployment overall to actually maybe happen by the end of next week or the following week, or if not, to have them have back pay. However, there are a lot of things that I think are important to know, like about how much we're getting. It may not actually be $400. It may not apply to every single person, and also that even if it does go through, it also may have a massive impact about the other parts like the $1,200 and whether that goes through and when it actually does go through. But yeah, as always, thank you guys so much. If you guys made it all the way to the end, smash the like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe and hit the bell notification for stimulus checks, stock market, and financial based videos, or any personal development insightful things at this time period. And stay safe. We're all in this together, hoping for the best, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much.